Now we need to modify our JSP and servlet to take into account the session beans. So the first thing I did is I opened my JSP and I just added some text for the labels. So when I enter in data, I know that a weight should be a number and a length. At the moment, we have no data validation on our JSP. So if you type in something other than a number, it'll just blow up. Health is a health code. It cannot be more than 2 characters. And breed and location are codes. They cannot be more than 4 characters. So I just wrote those in the labels so I won't make a mistake. In my servlet, there's a few things I need to import. I need to import the entity and session code that got created. And then there's some standard package stuff that deals with persistence that I need to create. And then right below the public class specimen servlet, I need to enter these 2 lines of code. And this one will give me a reference. And here I put in specimen session. So anytime you see specimen session, it's a reference to one of the session objects for the entity specimen. You'll see in a minute how that works. And then in my code, I could take this out, but I figured I'll just leave it and let it print to the log anyways. But eventually, if I went to production, I'd want to remove it. Now, NetBeans has really good autocomplete. It'll kind of tell you what your choices are. So if I type specimen session dot, it'll show me all these methods that got auto created for me. So there's a create specimen, there's an edit specimen, there's a find object that returns a specimen object, there's find all, there's remove. So I notice one here says count, which should give me the number of records in the table. So I thought, well, just for fun, I'll add a system.out. So I'll print to the log this text followed by a count so we can see the count of the number of records changing. But now how do I get this data here into the database? Well, I need to first create a specimen object, because remember when we just looked at create, it needed a specimen object passed to it. Well, I have specimen right here. So I have this specimen object and I say new specimen, and I can give it any reference I want. I just picked SP for short. And then if you do SP dot, you'll see all of these different get methods to get different fields and set methods. So I can set the health, I can set the ID, I can set the length, the weight, etc. So this is how with my specimen object, I take this data from the HTTP request and put it in the specimen object. Now the first one I put in was just setting the ID to 10 because I believe the database, regardless of what you put, will just auto increment it. So I think I just needed something there. Here I did set specimen weight, and I get the weight as a string. So I do have to convert that to an integer because specimen weight wants an integer. So I did integer.parse, and then I just did the HTTP request get parameter weight. And I did the same thing for length. Now with health, it comes in as a string, and the database wants it as a string. So I can just do request.getParameter health, breed, and location. And then I do a specimen session called the create method and pass this SP object in. And this will call the session, pass in the entity object, and store it in the database.